Team, the Kremlin's trying to find out who your assets are.
Somebody has been talking to the Russians.
Stake my life, it's not you, Harry. But you've got a mole in your organization.
Sugar Horse.
Sugar Horse.
The best kept secret we ever had.
Who at 5 knows?
Hugo Prince, Richard Dolby, and me.
Lucas.
Hurry.
Look in your bedside drawer.
I'm being set up. We've got a mole in Section D.
I need you to meet a contact in Moscow.
Maria Korachevsky.
I'm sorry, Lucas.
By the time you get there, she'll have all the information we need to pinpoint the mole.
I'm on my way.
One other thing. When you see Maria,
Tell her I'm sorry it took this for me to get in touch.
she'll understand.
Yes.
Sorry for the late night call, Harry, but I need to brief you on something that can't wait till morning.
Are you alone?
Yes.
Good. Have you heard of a Polish village called Walili Stacia? It's 5 miles from the old Soviet border.
And the Americans have decided it's the perfect spot for their missile defense shield. When the news breaks, they'll go ballistic.
Literally, for all we know.
We have no choice. I've just seen the latest US intelligence on a Syrian nuclear weapons program.
The missile defense shield could be the only thing between us and an airborne strike.
If the situation escalates, I need to know your assets are in place and that none of your Russian networks have been compromised.
I need to know that you still have Sugar Horse.
Is Sugar Horse secure?
I can assure you. I can assure you our position is just as strong as it ever was.
Thank you, Harry.
Министр иностранных дел Александр Бархалин скончался от сердечного приступа. Его семья подтвердила, что у министра были серьезные проблемы с
Президент и парламент сделали совместное заявление, что если Америка не откажется от своих планов, Россия имеет полное право на любые необходимые...
There were angry scenes in Moscow this morning as Russian leaders reacted to the announcement of US plans to place missile defense bases in eastern Poland. One senior minister called it the greatest act of aggression since the end of the Cold War. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister backed the White House's statement that the US plans are purely defensive, aimed to offer protection from rogue states. The Prime Minister also paid tribute to Alexander Barkhovin, the Russian foreign minister who died overnight following his collapse yesterday from a suspected heart attack.
Would you like to explain why your technicians are fixing a mobile listening device to our wall while we're trying to deal with a major diplomatic flare-up?
The short answer is that I suspect your boss of the most serious betrayal in the history of this organization. Harry is being investigated under suspicion of being an FSB mole.
That's impossible.
That is entirely possible. And in his absence, I'm taking control of this section. I expect all officers to observe protocol. You work as normal, and you report directly to me. And while we continue investigations, all your communications will be recorded and analysed by internal security.
This team is utterly loyal to Harry Pierce. You cannot expect them to hear that information and carry on as if nothing's happened.
I do not believe that Alexander Borgovin died of a heart attack. I think the Russians are up to something, and until you find out what it is and how it relates to this crisis, I don't want to hear another word.
Harry's been arrested.
Do they have any evidence against him?
I very much doubt it. We'll be kept under surveillance. Our orders are to carry on work as normal, but to report to Richard Dolby.
It's ridiculous.
Whatever we may feel, we need to work out what the Russians' next move is before they know it themselves. We start by finding out if that man's death has anything to do with this. Malcolm, get everything you can from the hospital and Borgovin's office. Then get into the archive, get every document we have on Borgovin. Connie, tell me what the chatter is, what the local media are saying. Joe, I want his phone and email records. I want to know everything he said, wrote and thought in the last month. In full cooperation with MI6 on this one, everyone. They'll be getting it from on high too, and their contacts will be invaluable to us.
And where's Lucas? Is he in trouble too?
I have no idea. But if anyone hears from Lucas, they let me know immediately.
Right.
I've just left Cobra. The Russians are even less amused than we expected. They've got it into their heads that the missile defense shield is nothing more than a cover for the installation of American weapons aimed at their country. Apparently, they'll have recalled their Washington and London ambassadors within the hour. There are rumors they might even send an aircraft carrier to patrol U.S. waters. I don't think the Americans thought things would escalate this quickly, so I've assured the White House that you retain the ability to penetrate and compromise Russian military planning at the highest level.
I'm afraid that may not be true anymore, sir.
I believe that Harry Pierce has been passing secrets to the FSB.
Are you sure?
I've sent you a dossier. It should be with you now. I think you'll agree.
The evidence is irrefutable.
But this goes back years. I spoke to him last night. I told him exactly what our position was. We're meant to be briefing the CIA at 12:30.
I'm sorry, sir. I acted as soon as I received the intelligence.
I'm now doing everything that I can to isolate him, identify and pull back his assets. And the least we can do
is debrief them and get whatever information they have on the Russian plans.
I can't believe Harry Pierce is a traitor. There must be some other explanation.
Richard,
You've betrayed Sugar Horse to the Russians.
you must know. I would never do such a thing.
Alexander Borgovin is dead. The Russians claim he had a heart attack. What really happened to him?
I know as little as you do.
Only 3 people knew Borgovin was a Sugar Horse asset. Me, you, and Hugo Prince.
I have done nothing except protect and cultivate Borgovin for our use. That dossier was faked, probably by Bernard Qualtrough. It's part of the same attempt to attack Sugar Horse just at the point we need it most.
Look, Harry, I want the names of all the Sugar Horse assets that you passed to the FSB.
Can't you see you're being manipulated into demanding my names because they know once they go into circulation, the FSB will be able to get their hands on them?
Give me the names of your assets. You've already made your betrayal. You've already destroyed the network. If you have a shred of humanity, you'll let me pull out your assets with my own and debrief whatever intelligence we can from them.
Sugar Horse is our only insurance against a resurgent Russia. If things escalate over the missile shield, the fact that my network is still in place may be our only hope.
I think you know Charles Grady. At least you're familiar with his work. I want those names.
So, perhaps you'll give me a different response.
Агентство Интермейл в Москве. У нас нарушение защиты. Счет от имени Барховина.
I thought MI6 lead sounded quite strong, but so far the Russians have shut down every avenue we could explore.
I'm surprised.
I can't quite believe what he's accusing Harry of. Can you?
Don't be upset. Just surprised they're taking so long to realise their own stupidity. And something interesting. Apparently Paul Coven's a hard-living type. Been complaining about angina-like symptoms for the last 2 months. Maybe he wasn't such an unlikely candidate for a heart attack.
I found nothing suspicious from the few people that haven't hung up on me.
Malcolm?
No, nothing, except that I was trying to get into Borkovin's IT systems. I found out that he had them upgraded by an Indian firm that has its European office in Swindon. I called to talk to the consultant they'd sent over, a man called Chandra Paturi. A colleague of his told me he died 3 days ago.
What of?
Heart attack.
Coincidence?
You can artificially induce a heart attack.
And adenosine. You can dose the victim without them knowing by putting it in a pillowcase or a phone receiver.
Well, we're never going to see Borkovin's blood report, so we're going to have to walk back the cat on this. Find out what Chandra Paturi was treated, get hold of his post-mortem report, see if he was ever given toxicological analysis. I'll get on to it. No, Joe, you do that. Connie, get this lot back downstairs. Make sure Dolby doesn't see it.
Adenosine's a naturally occurring substance. There's no reason for a pathologist to find it suspicious. In fact, it might not even show up if the post-mortem was more than 24 hours after death.
Well, I just hope it wasn't.
Swindon General is sending over Paturi's post-mortem report.
You don't believe any of this, do you?
What do you think?
Betrayal is a lonely business, isn't it, Harry?
I wouldn't know.
That secret feeling of power fades so quickly. And the only thing that can bring it back is more betrayal. The irony is that each betrayal can only lead deeper into the loneliness you were trying to escape from in the first place. I'm here to help you. To release you from your loneliness.
The only help I need is in apprehending Qualtrough and working out how he framed me.
I did make some inquiries after you mentioned him earlier. I learnt Bernard Qualtrough has been a permanent resident of Bangkok for the last 12 years. Apparently, he loves the climate. By the way, he hasn't set foot in the UK since 1996.
No, he's in this country now. He's in this country because he forged this dossier you've been reading.
Give me the names of your assets, Harry, and this can all be over very quickly.
You'll have to go to his bookshop.
There is no bookshop.
It's in Greenwich.
The names, Harry.
Listen to me, I can't give you the names. If I give you the names, it will destroy the network. It will just lead the FSB straight to them.
Hello?
Where's Rose?
I'm afraid she's with the in-laws.
Here, rather taken up residence.
Where are you, Lucas? Lucas, where are you?
I'm at Lamb 6 buying jaunt.
Would you like me to get you some
assistance getting all the purchases back?
No. I'll be fine. Bye.
How do you feel now? Do you feel the urge to talk to me? Do you feel the urge to talk to me about those names? All right, well, we can start off by talking about something else, if you like. We can start off by talking about your son.
My son has nothing to do with this.
Hasn't he? What about your wife?
My ex-wife has nothing to do with this. My family have nothing to do with my work.
Of course, that's right. Yeah. Given that your work is your life, that's meant that your family has had nothing to do with you.
I had to keep them apart.
You mean it was convenient to create a veil of secrecy and lies that they could never penetrate?
I had to protect them.
What protection you gave? That kind of protection that meant that you would never be available, you would never be there, you would always be more involved with things that were more important to you. The kind of protection that meant that you betrayed every single ideal and demand they had of you as a husband and a father.
All right.
Betrayal is a pathology, Harry. Just like your son's drug addiction, just like your wife's depression, there are symptoms. Failed relationships, a tendency to anger quickly, a preference for heavy alcohol consumption.
You're describing half the people in this organization.
I'm describing a profile that many people share features with, but for which you provide the perfect match. Give me those names, Harry. Give me the names of all the assets you have betrayed. You know you want to do it. You know you want to tell me.
I want to reassure the Home Secretary.
Harry, you're never going to see the Home Secretary. You're never going to see anyone ever again, unless you give me those names.
Они подслушивают.
Конечно.
Лидия, вот это, я вас.
Are you ready?
I have been ready for 15 years. But poor Harry, this must be serious if it has come to this.
Harry asked me to apologize for not being in touch. He said he hoped you'd understand.
Когда а вот так любишь, все понятно.
When you love someone, everything is understood.
Gorky.
Do you have what we need?
I had to plant the package. It is one thing if I get picked up, but this is too important to lose.
Where will I find it?
I hope it contains what you need. Café Bedouin. You will find a friend there. You will have to be on your guard. I intercepted messages to my superior. They're looking for you. They know already that you're not in London. The next thing they'll do is check flight manifest. You cannot leave Moscow under the same name.
Can you get me another identity?
I have done that already. My friend will give you the documents you need to get out of Russia.
Harry said you were formidable.
We were well matched. Be careful. They will be everywhere.
Maria, I won't take them long to notice what you've done.
I will be on the flight to London.
Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
According to this, he was given a full post-mortem following a heart attack. The pathologist had questions, but nothing to go on. He had no idea that Petrie had been in Russia 6 weeks before.
What's going on?
We think we have a lead on what really happened to Gorkovin.
Good, because I've just heard from the Home Secretary. He's on his way, so we have less than 20 minutes to work out what the hell he can tell the Americans about what Moscow are going to do next.
Adenosine triphosphate found at 4 times the normal level in Chandra Petrie's bloodstream.
Why didn't anybody pick up on this at the time?
Because adenosine is a naturally occurring substance. It may look suspicious, but there's any number of reasons why a person might have raised levels.
So, the Russians are lying. They did kill Borkovin.
You need to see this. Alexander Borkovin used to get a lot of interest. His file was signed out 25 times between 1990 and 2003, every time by a man named Hugo Prince.
There's something else you should see. The Russian news agency I've never heard of has just released this image from Borkovin's post-mortem.
Well, why would they do that?
It's a way of the government leaking information they want people to know unofficially.
What's that mark on his shoulder? Can you go in closer? Closer still?
What the hell is that?
Bulkovin was a Sugar Horse asset. At this stage, I think I should tell you that Harry briefed me about Sugar Horse. He was trying to save the operation.
By telling unauthorized personnel about its existence?
Whoever leaked that image is sending us a message that they're onto our network. If Harry was a mole, why would he expose himself like that?
Because the damage is already done. He's already leaked the names. When Hugo died, Harry and I split his assets. We never knew each other's, but we both knew Hugo's. Now, an asset Harry took on has been murdered, just when we might have needed him.
That doesn't mean that Harry's responsible. Someone could have got to the names through Hugo Prince.
I worked under Hugo for 20 years. I knew him as well as I knew my own family. He was not a traitor. If you care to look at it, I have proof of who was.
Anyone can fake a dossier.
Lucas North never arrived. Caught up in traffic.
Wherever he is, I know he's not a double agent. I debriefed him. With Harry.
Then I think you were party to a piece of theatre performed by two traitors for your benefit. The first Sugar Horse asset has been murdered. Soon others will be too. By the time the US and Russia sit down to thrash this out, our intelligence on Russia will be a joke. Unless you can force Harry into giving up his names before they're killed.
You want me to use Harry's team to prove that he's a traitor?
I want you to salvage what little remains of British nuclear intelligence on Russia before it's too late.
That's strange. I'm picking up an unusual telecoms interference pattern on my own monitors. It's as though someone on this floor is using a phone scrambler.
It's possible, isn't it?
Not one I don't recognise. Can we help you, sir?
I'd like to speak with Richard Dolphy.
I'm here, Home Secretary.
I've just had a call from MI6. A second Russian official has been found dead. Her name was Maria Korachevsky. She was a senior civil servant in Russia's nuclear program.
Was she Hugo Prince asset?
I hope you will realize how this makes us look. The Americans were counting on us to help push through the single most important defense project of the 21st century. This was the chance to punch our weight in the Atlantic Alliance to prove what Britain brought to the table.
So, if you want us to work out what's going on and do something about it, I believe the team would be more effective if they were granted full authorization to the relevant information.
No. You're all tainted by your association with Harry Pierce.
The Russians and their friends were clearly far readier than we expected. Without good intelligence, we will never outmaneuver them on this. And I've got less than 3 hours before I have to tell the White House everything we know to help them. So.
Okay. If we're going to continue, there are things you deserve to know. Dolby doesn't want you to know this, but both Alexander Borkovin and Maria Korachevsky were MI5 assets. They were part of a sleeper network called Sugar Horse. Sugar Horse was designed to keep Russian nuclear capability under NATO control. That network has now been destroyed just as Russia plans to turn the missile defense issue into a global crisis and restack the decks in its favour. So, unless we can find out who betrayed the Sugar Horse names and stop them before anyone else dies, we stand to lose any edge we ever had over Russia and any protection against any future attack.
Why don't you just give us a list of names so we can pull them out and debrief them?
The network was designed to be unbreakable. Only certain names are known to certain individuals. No one has the full list.
But Hugo Prince is a link.
Yeah.
Hugo Prince and I were lovers. I know he wasn't a traitor.
I'm not suggesting he was. But when I saw how many times he'd signed out the file, I had a look at what we had on him. And the last time he requested the file was September 23rd, 2003. Well, according to his service biog, Hugo Prince died on September 22nd.
So someone accessed his file using his name as Alfred.
Somebody who could be our traitor.
Okay, Ben, get back down to the archives, see if you can find the authorization slip used to access the file, and get it to Malcolm to put it through graphology.
If you need in haystack stuff, I'll go with you.
No, Connie, I need you up here. There'll be an avalanche of chatter once that second death's been announced. I need you listening in, trying to find out who the Russians might hit next. Joe, you and I are going to go through every Russian official who's ever made contact with MI5. No one can give us the Sugar Horse names, so we're bloody going to have to work it out ourselves.
You realise all this could just prove that Harry is them all?
Yep. But it's also our only chance to prove that he's not.
You've got lots of liars on your team, Harry. You know why? Because you understand them. Because you're the biggest liar of all. King Liar.
This is your tap run, Harry.
Isn't that so, Harry?
There's someone else who knows about it. Sugar Horse, Sugar Horse, Sugar Horse.
couple of leads. Russian scientist keeps being mentioned. I think I might check out what's going on downstairs. Okay, but I need you back on the wires as soon as possible. Don't worry, I'll be quick.
My name is Katerina, and I love champagne. It makes me do very naughty things.
Sure it does.
The man in the leather jacket is FSB. They're looking for you everywhere.
Although they don't yet.
I have no idea. But I saw him call for a backup. And we will be here in 10 minutes now. Pretend to be a tourist. Happy with a sexy Russian girl.
Эти шампанское, 2 стакана.
Very good. The things you need are in a package in the kitchen.
I'll find it.
The package will be in one of the drawers. The third one now. There's also a way out. John Allen leads back to the street. So look that way. And go quickly.
Спасибо. Я исчезаю.
Конечно, котик. Я подожду.
Yes?
Who is this?
Привет. Не купишь ли девушке шампанское?
Hello? Connie is the mole.
She is the Russian mole.
Got the photographic proof.
Getting short of time. Ross thought you might need some help. Okay?
Yeah. Sure. That's way.
What's up?
Nothing. I just feel like my eyes are about to pack in.
Why don't you take a short break? Make us both a cup of tea.
No, you're all right. You go, I'm fine here.
Okay. No tea. You're very young. Too young to be wasting your life with this nonsense.
It's my duty, I don't mind.
It's okay. It'll be over soon.
You've not given me any names, Harry.
Hard interrogation is singularly ineffective against those with nothing to hide.
You know what they've already worked out on your floor? That Bolkovin was murdered. You ordered it, didn't you? As a first step to dismantling the network the West depends upon to neutralize Russia.
Did not order it.
Come on, Harry. It was only you and Richard Dolby knew he was an asset. It doesn't matter how much you lie. Your own team is already piecing it together. Now, you know how smart they are. You know how quickly they'll get to the truth. I'll tell you something else. They want to nail you even more than I do because of the way you've betrayed us.
Riviere,
Something's happened. I need to get out.
Now.
you must hold your nerve. All we need
is Harry's list of assets, and the Sugar Horse network will return to dust.
He won't be able to resist much longer.
До свидания, Bernard.
До свидания.
Правительственного сообщения стало известно, что срок, отведенный России для отказа НАТО от размещения ПВО, истек. Похоже, что надежда на дальнейшие переговоры очень мала. Попытки западной
Anything?
No, nothing.
You didn't bring Ben back with you?
No, he's still plugging away. Probably will be for a while.
What is it?
That's something that might interest you. I know Lucas North is in Moscow.
What's he doing there?
I'm not sure. Rose Myers knows he's there. She's not telling you because she expects him to make contact. They're playing a very complex game. If you want to find out what they're up to, you better catch them in the act.
And how can I do that?
Well, I think I need to hear what's on that listening device. I was just with Ben Kaplan. He got a call from outside. I'm convinced it was Lucas. Richard, you and I have worked together for more than 30 years. Unless you find out what Harry's team is up to, everything that you and Hugo work for is at stake. We don't want them to destroy that.
I'll take you to the listening suite.
No, you stay here. You keep an eye on them. I'll go. I'll tell you what I find.
Right. This code will open the sound files.
Has anyone heard from Ben?
No.
No. I'm gonna go down and check on him.
Secretary. I apologize for being out of contact today. A little local misunderstanding has arisen.
I've seen the dossier, Harry.
The dossier. It's a forgery. There's not a single word of it is true.
The world is on the edge of an abyss. The Americans will do everything to complete their missile defense program, and the Russians will do everything to stop it. The ace up our sleeve was Sugar.
It still is.
I've been through the dossier with Richard Dolby. Alexander Borkovan is mentioned. Maria Korojevsky is mentioned. All your communication with the FSB is documented.
Sir, you have to understand. This is an orchestrated attack on me and my network. A network that still protects us and will still allow us to call Russia's bluff.
It's time for you to give up those names.
Home Secretary, I would never betray this country. You know that. I have given my life. I have given everything I have in its service.
Then you were very good, Harry. I trusted you completely.
And I'll never forgive you for the damage your actions have inflicted.
So, when this is over, you will be stripped of everything. Do you understand? The knighthood, the pension. You will die in a most obscure and impoverished ignominy that we are capable of heaping on anyone. The only thing you can possibly salvage is your self-respect. So, if you have an atom of that left, you will give us those names. At the very least, we can save those involved and make this a fair fight with Russia. Goodbye, Harry.
Let's go home.
Before I give you anything, I want to speak to Ross Myers. I want my team to know why I acted the way I did.
The door's locked. He's not answering his phone. I've called security.
I know he had an external call.
Tap into the phone monitoring device.
When did you last see Mr. Walker? About 1 week. Were you surprised when you heard the news? Yes, I was.
The call's from Moscow. Right, the sound file's protected by a 6-digit code. It's meant to be randomly generated, but I've installed enough of these things to know that anything authorized by Dolby starts with a 27. Come on, come on.
You mentioned you felt unwell. No, not at all. Laboratory tests might be helpful.
Bingo. Now, according to my monitors, Ben received his call roughly 13 minutes ago.
Ben, Connie is the mole. She is the Russian mole. And the photographic proof.
File deleted.
There's nothing. It's been deleted.
Weird.
So where the hell is Ben?
I've just spoken to Charles Grady. Harry would like to see you.
Hello, Ross.
Can you at least give him a glass of water?
I'm afraid not.
None of this is true, is it?
I'm afraid it is. I've betrayed you and the entire team. I gave the names of my sugar horse assets to the FSB. I can understand how you must feel, but in mitigation, my priority has been the renaissance. Renaissance of something I believe in profoundly. I'm very sorry, Rose.
Can you get me out now?
Ross? How was Harry? Did he say anything?
Renaissance. Come. Pull up everything you can relating to the codename Renaissance.
Renaissance. It's a retired operation, run by Harry during the 1980s. Its object was to persuade the KGB that they had a mole inside MI5.
Who was the officer used to dupe them?
Connie James. Traitor.
Ilyas Ivashko.
The Undersecretary for Arms Procurement.
Grisha Solmonov.
Porto Block.
The Kremlin's head of internal security.
Even I never thought Sugar Horse could have corrupted him.
But don't worry. You'll soon find out.
His part in all this is over.
What about me?
When you reach Moscow, you can expect the full gratitude of the motherland.
Thanks to you, Russia
can finally fulfill its destiny to stop
and turn back the spread of American imperialism.
It doesn't matter what you try. I've got the names of Harry's assets, and I've already passed them on to a trustworthy officer. Within 20 minutes, they'll all be on their way to tell us what they know.
You are a fool. I know why Harry wanted to see me. Connie James was turned during Operation Renaissance.
Security's just called. One of the locks to the paper archive's been tampered with.
Can't wait for the car. I need to get out of here. Get the driver to leave the ID in locker 416. I'll contact you when I get out through airport security.
Step away from the pods.
Is anything wrong?
Operation Renaissance. That's where they turned you, isn't it? You and Harry working to persuade the Russians they had a mole. He came back from Moscow the same. You didn't.
You realise it's too late. I've already sent the names.
Not the right names, I'm afraid.
Names I gave to Richard because I knew you'd be working hard to get him to trust you.
Almost made it.
Almost. Why? Why did you do it?
I don't have to explain my actions.
Yes, you do. To me.
Did what I thought was right. We're a pathetic little country, putting a fig leaf of British democracy over the actions of a monster.
What about Ben?
I had no choice.
You had a choice?
Sure.
Connie. He was worth more than that.
Get out of my sight.
I'm sure we'll see each other again. I sincerely hope not.
Harry Pierce, Home Secretary.
And what will happen to the names you gave? After all, they were real people.
The FSB will have killed them by now.
But we can surely expect the Russians to up the ante again, once they realize what we've done.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Home Secretary, I'd like to talk to you about Ben Kaplan. Although, obviously, Ben cannot be buried with military honours, the Home Secretary has agreed he should be made a posthumous member of the DSO, in recognition of everything he's contributed to MI5 both today and in the past. The real memorial for Ben is not in medals and ceremonies, but in the way we carry on with our work, to make sure that their sacrifice was not in vain. I'll be speaking to Ben's family later today.
If it's all right, sir, I'd like to do that.
Tell them they can call me at any time.
I'm assuming none of this makes any difference to immediate American plans on missile defence.
None whatsoever. We remain at a state of heightened alert, ready for imminent Russian reprisals.
Then we need to deal with this. Using your password, we were reassuring Sugar Horse assets. One of them sent this back.
Beware. Tiresias wakes 3 p.m. tomorrow. What the hell is Tiresias? The Russians are mounting an attack on London.
So what kind of attack can we anticipate?
MI5.
6 ELD. We don't know, but we're about to find out.
6 heavily armed moving in from our east, the kill squad.
CLE работают независимо от MI5. We'll be fine. All we need to do is cross London. How hard can that be?
They're alone.
Shit.
Who's on business?
You're walking directly into the arms of people who want you dead.
Можете их убить.
You're found.